Turning now to the mysterious death of a Mississippi teen. The body of Nolan Xavier Wells was recovered on Monday, days after he vanished during a boat trip with his friends to an island off of Mississippi. It's part of a national seashore known for its beaches. The 18-year-old's family is now searching for answers.
Just from where you sit, what are the biggest unanswered questions so far about this case?
Obviously, the biggest question is what happened to Nolan Wells. I think the reason this case has caught such fire is because they see the pictures, they see the video, and they're saying, hold on, you're trying to tell us just accept this an accident and sweep it under the rug?
Nolan Wells would have turned 19 next month. He was heading back to campus for football preseason. His whole life was in front of him. And now his mother says she doesn't know when she'll smile again. Imagine your son leaves for a 4th of July boat trip with his closest friends, kids he's known for years, kids who've eaten at your table, kids you trusted with his life. And then the sun sets, and then midnight comes, and then your phone rings with the worst news a mother can ever hear. That's exactly where Christine Wansley found herself. Not on a holiday, but at the beginning of a nightmare that has since shaken an entire country and set the internet on fire with questions that still don't have clean answers. Nolan Xavier Wells was 18 years old. He had a future. He had a football career. He had a smile his mother says she doesn't know when she'll ever see again. And right now, the circumstances surrounding his death are anything but settled. Before we go any further, if you're new here, welcome to True Crime Unravelled on YouTube. Find us as True Crime Unravelled TV on both Facebook and Instagram. Hit subscribe right now because this case is still unfolding and you do not want to miss a single update. So let's catch you up quickly because so much has happened. Nolan Wells was an 18-year-old wide receiver for the Southwest Mississippi Community College Bears. By every account, coaches, teachers, teammates, this young man was the kind of person you root for. Humble, hardworking, the kid who uplifted the room just by walking into it. His football coach called him more than an outstanding player. His principal said he left a lasting impression on everyone he touched. His mother described him as a special soul, said God took his time creating him. On the 4th of July, Nolan headed out to Horn Island, a remote barrier island about 10 miles off Mississippi's Gulf Coast, only accessible by boat. It's a popular summer spot, packed with recreational boaters every holiday weekend. Nolan went with a group of friends on a private boat. And from what investigators have pieced together, he was last seen around 3 in the afternoon on the north end of the island, apparently talking to a young woman. His friends say he told them he'd get a ride back with someone else. So they left. He never made it home. His mother, Christine Wansley, reported him missing that night. A massive multi-agency search followed, involving the Coast Guard, the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, the Department of Marine Resources, and volunteer organization the United Cajun Navy, who put boats, drones, and a fixed-wing aircraft into that search. On the morning of July 7th, a park ranger spotted a body near the northwest tip of Horn Island, the same end where Nolan was last seen. It was identified as Nolan through dental records. The cause and manner of death? Still under investigation.
Turning now to the mysterious death of a Mississippi teen. The body of Nolan Xavier Wells was recovered on Monday, days after he vanished during a boat trip with his friends to an island off of Mississippi. It's part of a national seashore known for its beaches. The 18-year-old's family is now searching for answers. CBS News correspondent Skylar Henry has the story.
After an intensive days-long search, police say they found 18-year-old Nolan Xavier Wells' body Monday near Horn Island, roughly 10 miles off of Mississippi's Gulf Coast. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office says he was last seen on the island around 3 p.m. on July 4th after taking a boat trip there with friends, but he did not return with the group. His mother reported him missing that night. 2 days later, he was found dead on the island's northwest corner.
There was guys that looked like they were in law enforcement attire standing on the beach, and then I could see what looked to be a body laying on the beach.
Brian Trasher is with the United Cajun Navy, a volunteer organization that helps search for Wells. He said people told him there was a strong rip current coming off the island on the 4th.
If you're not suspecting of it or you don't know about it, even if you're a strong swimmer, you could be swept off your feet and carried out a couple hundred yards before you even have a chance to react.
In a Facebook post Wednesday, Wells' mom wrote in part, "Missing our Nolan so much every second of every day. This has been the worst time in our lives." Prior to his death, the 18-year-old was a student at Southwest Mississippi Community College where he played football.
These kids go to the island all the time. There's nothing out of the norm, man. It was just so heartbreaking, Had so much life ahead of him to live, man, and a bright future, and it's just devastating.
The sheriff's office is calling this an active investigation, and amid online speculation, they're also calling for anyone who has unedited photos or videos from that area on July 4th to come forward. They're also asking for anyone who may have seen or heard any sort of confrontation or argument or saw anything unusual to say something as well. Back to you.
All right, Skylar, thank you very much.
Now here's where things get complicated. And this is the update a lot of people have been waiting on. Shortly after news of the body spread, a video started circulating online. Footage that appears to show a heated argument happening near the shoreline on Horn Island on the 4th of July. The Jackson County Sheriff confirmed his office is aware of the video and is actively looking into it. But they have not confirmed whether it's connected to Nolan's disappearance or whether anyone seen in it has any link to what happened that day. They specifically asked the public to submit original, unedited footage, not screenshots, not reposts, not enhanced audio clips, directly to investigators. And that detail matters, because the sheriff, John Ledbetter, was very direct. A lot of people are calling his office to report things they read on social media. Second-hand information, third-hand rumors, and in an active investigation, that's noise, not evidence. But here's what we do know, and what's adding fuel to the fire. Several of the people who were on that boat with Nolan have since lawyered up. Some deleted their social media accounts. And Nolan's cell phone, which he did not have on him when he went missing, was found on the boat his friends returned on. When his family eventually got that phone back, there were messages missing from it. Deleted. Now, why does a group of friends leave an island without one of their own? Why does that person's phone stay behind on the boat? And why, when it finally comes back to the family, is their data missing from it? You tell me how that math adds up. Now, let's talk about the post that sent the internet into a tailspin. One of the young men who was on the boat has a brother named Warren, and Warren's stepmother is Ashley Cole, a Chancery Court judge serving Jackson, George, and Greene counties in Mississippi. When the speculation started pouring in online, Judge Cole initially deactivated her Facebook page, but she came back, and she posted a lengthy statement. She wrote that her family grieves Nolan's loss. She said she graduated high school with Christine Wansley, Nolan's mother, and that they are from the same community. She clarified that neither she nor her husband was on Horn Island that day. She stated that Warren, her stepson, was interviewed by the Jackson County Sheriff's Department and cooperated fully. And she revealed something that hadn't come out publicly before, that the boat reportedly began taking on water that afternoon due to a bilge pump issue, and that Nolan made the decision to stay behind while the others returned. Now, people had a lot of feelings about a judge's family being connected to this case, but she addressed it directly. She acknowledged she's a judge, said she values transparency and said her only motivation for going dark on social media was fear for her children's safety amid online threats. She asked for the community's focus to return to the Wells family and their grief. But here's where it got ugly. Warren, the stepson who wasn't even on the boat, allegedly sent a private message to a content creator that leaked online. In that message, he told people not to listen to what he called those black people claiming his friends did something. He used racial slurs to describe people posting about the case on TikTok. And he said Nolan had basically lived at their house for 3 years and that they would never harm him. One sentence, one leaked message, and suddenly what many people already suspected became a loud, undeniable conversation about race, about Mississippi, about what it means to be the only black person in a predominantly white group. Ben Crump, the civil rights attorney the Wells family hired, was direct about it. He pointed to the history of law enforcement in Mississippi and said the family wants an independent autopsy and their own investigators speaking to witnesses who have no alignment with the state. He referenced Emmett Till, and he said simply that the family will not rest until every fact about what happened to Nolan is brought into the light. The independent autopsy results were expected soon after the family's press conference. We are still waiting on full findings.
Just from where you sit, what are the biggest unanswered questions so far about this case?
Obviously, the biggest question is what happened to Nolan Wells. I think the reason this case has caught such fire is because they see the pictures, they see the video, and they're saying, hold on, you're trying to tell us just accept this an accident and sweep it under the rug? His mother, Christine, his father, Elmo, say, no, they will not allow that to happen. His friends, his community. I mean, he was a good kid. He was beloved. He was a college athlete. He had everything going for him. And so to go on that island for 4th of July celebration and then not to come back is what is concerning everybody, especially when you hear the contradictions.
And you're conducting your own investigation. How will that differ from what the authorities are doing?
Well, one thing, we're trying to be very transparent because the family has some concerns about the state of Mississippi doing an investigation of the death of a young black man where young white students may be looked at as having some culpability. So the family is concerned about that. So we're going to have an independent autopsy. We have investigators talking to witnesses that have no alignment or no allegiance to the state. And that's important, Lindsay. When you think about Mississippi and the history of Mississippi, you know, this is the state where Emmett Till was lynched.
So here's where I land, and I want you to think about this with me. The sheriff says there is no confirmed evidence of foul play. Volunteers from the United Cajun Navy believe a strong rip current at that part of the island could have overwhelmed even a strong swimmer. It was blazing hot that day. Nolan was reportedly in a weakened state. Heat, sun, possibly alcohol, and a long day on the water. But here's what doesn't sit easy with me. If your friend decides to stay behind on a remote island with no cell phone, because his phone is sitting on your boat, do you just go? Do you not double check that he's sorted? And if something goes wrong after that and you've still got his phone when you get home, what's the first thing you do? You reach out to his family. You don't wait. You don't let midnight come and go while his mother has no idea where her son is. And those deleted messages, what was in them? Who was Nolan talking to that afternoon? What was said in those final hours on the island? Here's the question I keep coming back to. Is this a tragedy that happened to a group of young people who were careless? Or is this a tragedy that some of those young people are now working very hard to keep contained? Those are two very different things. And right now, we don't have a definitive answer to either. Whatever happened on Horn Island that 4th of July, whether it was a terrible accident, whether there was negligence, whether there was something worse, this family deserves the full truth. And they deserve it without having to fight for it. Thank you so much for watching True Crime Unraveled on YouTube. If you're on Facebook or Instagram, find us at True Crime Unraveled TV and follow along there too. We will keep updating this case as new information comes in. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Nolan's death was a tragic accident that panicking friends tried to cover up? Or do you think there's something more deliberate going on? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk about it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do it now. This story is not over. Not by a long shot.